Hello, peeps. Yeah, I'm going to be talking about finding your true self today. Yeah, finding your true self. How do we find our true self? How do we connect to our deeper self, our inner self, our God self, the divine self, the higher self, which is the real us and the real essence? How? Now, along the line, I'm going to be telling you how. But you need to know that to know your true self, firstly, you will need to break down all attachments and belief systems because that's the only impediment, you know, um, covering your true self from you. You understand? That's what is not making you see and realize your true self. As I go on, you will understand better. Whether we realize it or not, our entire identity is formed from all our childhood inputs and the relationships we have with the world around us. In fact, our perception that we even exist at all is dependent upon these relationships to people, places, and things in order to survive. Yeah. For example, in relationship, in relation to a tree, I'm a human. In relation to that woman, I'm a son. In relation to that child, I'm a dad. In relation to that guy, I'm a friend. In relation to that dog, I'm its owner, and so on. Our physical identity or personality comes from who or what we are in relation to the things around us. With each one of these relationships comes a different personality. We have a kind of personality when we are with our family. We have another type when we are with our pets. We have our friend personality. We have our work personality, the religious or traditional personality. And we even have the personality of the voice in our head that is dropping comments on everything. Going even further down the rabbit hole, within each one of these personalities, we have preconceived notions about the way we should behave, the way others should behave, and the way life in general should go. The friend personality has its belief of what it means to be a friend. The employee personality behaves in accordance with its ideas about what it means to be an employee. The spouse personality has its own set of rules and regulations on what it means to be a spouse, and so on and so forth. With all of these different ideas, belief systems, and relationships that make up who we are, or at least who we think we are, how do we find out who we really are? How do we find out the true us, the true self? How do we go about breaking down relationships into labels, down to personalities, down to belief systems, all the way down to uncovering our pure self? Before we can break ourselves down to this level of pure self, we must first ask ourselves, what is our pure self or our real self? The pure self is us at our first level, our most authentic self. It is the part of us that has not one concept or preconceived anything about anything. You know, that part of us that has no concept or a preconceived notion about anything. It has no thoughts, beliefs, ideas, no judgments of how we should behave or of how others should behave because it exists prior to all labels and concepts of what is right or wrong, acceptable or unacceptable. It can never be upset or offended because it has no prior idea of how things should happen or how people should act. It is pure consciousness. It is the awareness that literally is the observer of all the different personalities that show up in our day-to-day existence. Our pure self experiences. Yes. Now, our pure self experiences life as it is in the present moment. When we become in touch with our pure self, we experience life as it is. We experience people and relationships as they are without getting caught up in the labels in our head of what we believe someone should be acting like. One will dare to say it is only when we get in touch with our pure or real self that we are actually truly living. Because when we are not in touch with this pure awareness, we are still operating from our thoughts or mind about a situation instead of the situation itself. To always be in our thoughts is to constantly be judging, which means we are not present. The less we are truly present and living in the moment, the less we are experiencing life in its most authentic form. So, now that we know what it is, the question still remains, how do we find and connect with this part of ourselves? You see, where there is silence, one finds the anchor of the universe within oneself. In order to break down all our belief about life, religions, doctrines, and people, and become completely immersed in our field of pure awareness, we must turn our attention inward. Once we become sincerely focused on what is going on inside of us, we are then able to confront every judgment, criticism, belief, and idea head on. It is only in this confrontation of ourselves that we are able to realize that every single one of our judgments of good or bad, right or wrong, acceptable or unacceptable is based on prior programming, which stems from how we were raised, or where we grew up, or what books we read, or what religion we belong, and so on. However, our pure self exists prior to this programming. Did you get that? Our pure self exists prior to all of this programming. So whenever we find ourselves placing judgment on others or on the world, we can be assured that we are not operating from our pure or real self. We must literally always point the finger back to ourselves anytime we find ourselves becoming frustrated, angry, offended, because these emotions are always indicative that there is a preconceived belief of the way things should be that is being triggered. Once we become willing to confront these beliefs, we are able to connect with a stream of inner stillness and silence that allows our authentic self to emerge. Operating from our pure self won't always be easy at all. I'm not promising you it will be easy, and will definitely take practice at first, especially for those of us who have become very attached to all of their ideas of who they think they are or should be. But when we are brave and courageous enough to confront ourselves and question every single belief down to the point that our false self cannot come up with even one more lie to try and make us believe in its validity, we are on our way and on our path to our authentic and real self. Our real self gets to experience the present moment in its purest form. It gets to experience people and situations in their most raw and genuine way. The way they truly are before our thoughts step in with all their judgments and commentary on a situation. When we start living this way, we see the world through brand new eyes, through the eyes of a person who has no prior knowledge or judgment on anything. Which means we start to live through our feelings and instincts, and consequently, the world becomes new and exciting all over again. So it's time to know thyself. Be your pure self. Be your true self. Be your real self. Be your divine self, and be your God self. That's all. That's all the essence existentially. As you do this, I wish you all the courage. I wish you all the courage. Until I come your way again, be blissful and be ecstatic. Bye.